Well, the new James Bond movie's been out in the United States for more than a week. James Bond, Spectre, with Daniel Craig. First off, I like Daniel Craig as an actor, but I really didn't like him as James Bond in the last few films. And quite frankly, the previous films, I only watched for their entertainment value as unintentional comedy. Now, some of the Ian Fleming books, he was a high-level MI6 spy, are very interesting and have, well, let's just say plots that parallel reality, like Moonraker, an elite plan to biologically wipe out 99% of the human race and repopulate it with superhumans. That's a globalist, eugenicist plan that's been on the drawing board for more than 60 years. But most of the stuff you see in James Bond movies is pro-anti-terrorism, police state propaganda. It's British Crown, MI6, MI5, police state promotion. That said, I went and saw last week Spectre, and it is undoubtedly the best James Bond movie I've ever seen for the action, the adventure, but mainly the content. Without giving away too much, I'll just say this. It basically discredits the police state spy grid, the NSA spy grid, the British spy grid, the European spy grid, the global spy grid, and explains that spy grids end up being used against the system itself and are used by criminals to oppress the people. And that criminals are using staged terror attacks or false flag terror attacks, self-inflicted wounds inside jobs to force governments themselves to acquiesce to the NSA-style surveillance grid. So this is a very pro-Snowden film. It's also a very nationalistic film. It's very pro-nation state, explaining that countries are firewalls against one great tyranny or one great ring in the darkness binding us all. Now, earlier I talked about previous James Bond films basically being comedy, and they are. But one vein that runs through the franchise since the early 60s, when Sean Connery first starred as the MI6 hero, is the fact that there are shadowy organizations like Spectre or Chaos or Cobra or Hydra that have operatives within government that use government compartmentalization to basically turn government into nothing but automatons or engines of their criminal enterprises. Extortion, murder, mass terrorism. But this film ties it all together and shows how Spectre, symbolized by the octopus or by the Hydra, is actually in control of every major government on Earth. And when you realize what Bilderberg, what Club of Rome is, you understand that literally that's what globalism and the New World Order is private corporate operatives who've given themselves diplomatic immunity through the UN and other multinational governmental organizations who are actually funding ISIS, actually funding currency devaluations, actually funding right-wing terrorist groups in Ukraine, actually having CNN endorse the Muslim Brotherhood while they blow up and burn down churches in Egypt. And when you pull back and realize that Spectre, like a face sucker from Alien, is in control of our major governments and has us hatching out new legions of tyrants for them, you understand what the New World Order is and why it wants an above the law, global, cashless society controlled by a corporate oligarchy. This film is excellent. It's extremely informative. And on so many fronts, it's revolutionary. And when you investigate it, organizations like Goldman Sachs admit that they're installing their executives as the presidents of major countries like Italy, Greece, and other nations. It is simply over the top. In summation, what does a film like Spectre tell us? It tells us a lot. There are people inside the system that don't like what's happening and are trying to use art to not just be propagandists for the establishment, but to tell the truth. Or maybe they're still propagandists for the establishment, but they realize that the public's already woken up to what's happening, so at least they give us simulated victories in movies, in The Matrix, so we feel like everything's okay. That's the more pessimistic view. I tend to think it's a little bit of both. But what we do know is the world is waking up, the world is taking action, the world is saying no, and real life James Bonds in local government, in state government, in federal government, in multinational government, in international systems, from the top to the bottom, are saying no, are waking up, and are realizing the paradigm that we're in a controlled, manipulated system, and they're beginning to break out of that matrix. And it's not just movies like James Bond's Spectre in 2015 that are telling the truth. No, my friends, it's films like The Last Captain America, where again, a shadowy criminal group, another octopus, Hydra, has its operatives within government multinationally and is bringing in a global tyranny in the name of protecting the public from terrorists they run and control. Some people will rightly ask me, why are you covering fiction? Why are you giving Hollywood blockbuster movies a review? Why are you telling us go see it? Because when we vote with our dollars, when Hollywood does something good, we should support it. That's Pavlovian conditioning to produce more that's enlightening, more that's informative. Yes, we have a stick as well, but the carrot is the real way to change society. That's why they want to end free speech with political correctness. That's why they want review boards to control what you can say, because they don't want an open market of ideas, because freedom is popular. We simply need to legalize freedom again. I spend 95% of my time promoting alternative media, new media, independent films. But when a film comes along like Captain America, or when a film comes along like Equilibrium a decade ago, or some of the other films like The Hunger Games exposing the police state, we've got to promote the good aspects of it. And a lot of times I'll give a film 2 or 3 stars out of 5 if it did an okay job, or 2 or 3 Paul Revere's out of 5. Rarely do I give a film 5 stars, but I've got to say, despite some of its problems, this film gets 4.5 stars. It loses half a star because they act like MI6 are the good guys completely, and they're totally fighting evil and are perfect. When the truth is, if there was one organization that I had to say was Spectre-like, it would be MI6, MI5, or the Central Intelligence Agency. And that's because they're so big, they're so old, they're so powerful. As a British statesman said, Lord Acton, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So these are organizations where the cleaning of house needs to happen. Of course, I don't think these organizations should be abolished. And you can say in summation that this kind of is a PR film for MI6 that is under scrutiny right now inside the UK. So that's probably the one little poison kernel within the larger mountain of truth. That's it for this review of Spectre. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Join InfoWars Tuesday, November 10th for live debate coverage. Since their last face-off, the GOP candidates have been picketed outside of sketch comedy shows, caught lying about their school records, and others have been banished to the kids' table. What stupid questions await the remaining contenders when they meet again?
Donald Trump, are you a comic book villain? Ben Carson, can you do math? John Kasich, will you insult 2 people over here?
We have $19 trillion in debt. We have people out of work. We have ISIS and Al-Qaeda attacking us. And we're talking about fantasy football? Can we stop?
Can pundits put aside their disdain for the participants and focus on real issues? How many times can Ronald Reagan be name-dropped in 2 hours? Will someone wear a Hillary for Prison t-shirt? All will be revealed Tuesday, November 10th, starting at 7 p.m. Central, as InfoWars enters into another episode of Political Science Theater 3K.